$10 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold coins from 1878 are still in almost uncirculated condition. That is 143 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-333-2210. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-333-2210 now to secure your own 1878p $10 Gold Liberty coin before they sell out. That's 1-800-333-2210.
Chiefs fans, this is the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Life is better with a feather.
Now the only thing the Kansas City Chiefs can do is wait. The 1 seed, they'll need some help. The 3 seed, no longer a concern, because the Chiefs have won this game over the Denver Broncos. They are the number 2 seed as things currently stand. They will not be jumped, as they have now risen to their 12th victory on the year, and that all pans out pretty well, even though it came in a stressful 28-24 victory over the Denver Broncos. Welcome into the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. I'm Joshua Brisco. Beards McFly on the other side of the glass. Rudy Salazar producing all the way around the building. And the Chiefs do now know that they are at least locked into one of 2 spots here in the playoff chase, because the Bengals, Bills, and Patriots are all 10-6 as they currently stand. The Chiefs will end their first ever 17-game regular season at 12-5. So the Titans have a chance to win against the Texans tomorrow. They'll be 12-5 if they do win that. They'll hold on to the 1 seed. The Chiefs will hold on to the 2. Or, if you get a little bit of Davis Mills mania, then the Chiefs' hopes of the 1 seed are actually still on the table. But as we stand here now, there are a handful of things that I think we can, in fact, take away from this game here today. We'll take your calls, we'll hear the press conferences, we'll talk to Matt Derrick, and then we'll get you over to the other Saturday NFL game today as the Dallas Cowboys will take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams with some COVID, with some injury issues. The Eagles essentially resting up for the playoffs. But we will bring you that as the NFL's first ever Week 18 takes shape, and ultimately we'll see what it does in terms of where the Chiefs go from here. That is yet another victory of the Chiefs over the Broncos, by the way. The last time the Broncos won was with when this matchup was with Peyton Manning. I believe Barack Obama was the president. It has been an incredibly long time, more than 2,000 days. You'll now be able to add on a couple hundred more, because even if the Chiefs and Broncos open up in Week 1 next year, which, who knows? But even if that opens up the season next year, it's still going to be quite a while before the Broncos get to take another crack at it. And I do not imagine that Drew Lock or Vic Fangio will likely be a part of that next matchup, as the Broncos also really ended this season in a cowardly fashion on their last possession, which in some ways is kind of bums me out, because a few guys out there, Jerry Jeudy had his moment. Drew Lock was not a good quarterback in this game, but put out a relatively fun performance, and ultimately they didn't even have a chance on 4th and long in their red zone there towards the end, because the Chiefs iced it then. They did the thing that you have to do as a good football team, which is to make lesser teams pay for their mistakes. And really, there's a million places that we could start, that we could go. There's some positives and there's some negatives, but you can hand this ball. You can cut this ball in half if you want. If you want to give half of it to Melvin Ingram and half of it to Nick Bolton, that's fine with me. But that hit by Melvin Ingram on Melvin Gordon, whose names I will almost certainly flip at least once in today's show. But that hit from Ingram to Gordon, the collision of Melvins in the backfield late in the game there, that ultimately led to a bouncing up football, a scoop, and a long score from Nick Bolton. That is the inflection point of this game, and I'll say is the thing more than anything else that felt like was going to bail this game out. Tyreek Hill was in and out with a heel injury. Travis Kelce ends up with a hip tweak late in the game. Darrell Williams left after the first half. Byron Pringle was banged up. A lot of things that will carry into next week. A lot of things, again, if you want to call in and be negative about this today, you'll have plenty of material. If you want to call in and be positive about this, you'll have plenty of material. But September 17th, 2015 does remain the most recent time that Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos beat Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs. That was the last time that happened. That will continue now, at least through another offseason. And we'll see when these two teams face off again next year. But one of the funniest streaks in sports does continue, and you can at least take some solace in that. Again, not a smooth game. Oh, by the way, first career 100-yard game for Nicole Hardman, and he very rarely gives you a performance that looks like a normal game for a wide receiver. He is an explosive player. I do think you can reasonably call him a playmaker. His role in this offense this year has largely been disappointing, but whenever he gets the ball in his hands, he's probably as dangerous as any of the Chiefs pass catchers not named Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. I think more so than Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, and kind of that crew. Those guys have been more consistent. It was another good game for Byron Pringle after a tough start early on. 2 occasions very early in the game where Patrick Mahomes and Byron Pringle did not appear to be on the same page. Mahomes goes back to Byron Pringle, man. He just does every time, and Pringle, I think without fail, has proven that decision accurate, has been proven that decision right. So you know what? Bring the ball back to me, and I will make a play. Pringle is able to do that. But in terms of pure explosiveness, seeing a game like this from Nicole Hardman that ends up being 8 receptions for 103 yards, the 44-yarder, and some ice on the end of the game there. Really a nice performance from him. A couple of good moments from Jerick McKinnon, who finally in Week 18, needed an extra week of the regular season, but finally in Week 18 got a little bit of a groove in this offense. But also, over the course of the game earlier, before things started to come together right there towards the end, this game was all about Patrick Mahomes. The stats will not show you the game that he was playing. Because there were plenty of times where there were miscommunication issues, receivers not fully making the play, playing without Tyreek Hill for large chunks of the game. Plus, he led the team in rushing, and also until that Nicole Hardman 44-yarder, that 25-yard scramble from Patrick Mahomes was the team's longest play of the game. He was all over the place. Not always super pretty, not always his absolute best work, but still a very on my back now sort of performance from Patrick Mahomes. He spoke to the broadcast team immediately after the game.
Patrick, how would you describe this win?
I mean, it was tough. We didn't play the way we wanted to play in the first half especially, but that's a good football team. I mean, they were right there in the playoffs, and playing here is never easy, so it was good to find a way to get a win.
What did you think when you saw Nick Bolton scoop and score?
I thought he was going to go down. I don't know if y'all saw, he almost went forward. No offense to Daniel Jones, but he almost gave one of those. And so, I thought he went down, but that was a heck of a play by Melvin Ingram. That's the reason we got him here. I mean, he makes plays like that.
How would you describe what this team has done these last 2 weeks? Last week was a loss, obviously, but this week a gritty win, heading into the postseason and tuning things up for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to be better. I mean, we got what it takes. I mean, we have everybody in this locker room to do what we want to do. What's up, dog? We got everybody in this locker room to do what we want to do, but we got to be better if we want to make a run through the AFC, because it's a tough division. You
get to put your feet up tomorrow and watch. Obviously, you guys need the Titans to lose to the Texans to get that top seed. You got a watch party planned. How are you going to go through all that?
Yeah, we'll watch the game and everything like that. I mean, we handled our business today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Regardless, either way, we got to go out there and win some football games, so we'll be ready to go.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
It is so important to handle your business. If I've said it once or heard it once, I've heard it a million times. There's Patrick Mahomes talking to the ABC, ESPN, Monday Night Football, Saturday Football crew. Branding on that was a little sloppy today, but it was, we got what we got. And what you got there, of course, was also a vital Chiefs victory. Vital might be strong, but let me give you this background here real quick, and then we'll take some calls. We'll get to press conferences live from Denver and all of that here shortly. But real quick, I gave you kind of like where it goes from here now that the Chiefs have locked themselves in as the 2 seed at this moment. I mean, at this moment, they're the 1 seed, I guess. If the Titans were to tie with the Texans, and you heard the question there about, all the games coming up tomorrow. But if they were to tie, the Chiefs would be 12-5, the Titans would be 11-5-1. So as things stand right now, the Chiefs are the 1 seed, but the Titans win and take it back. But if the Chiefs would have lost this game and fallen to 11-6, then the Bengals, Bills, and Patriots all would have had a chance to jump the Chiefs. Now, the Bills and Patriots obviously couldn't both jump the Chiefs because they're both in the AFC East. Only the division winner could do that. It's not purely record-based, right? The division winners will all at least host 1 game. They will be the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds, even if you had, an impossible 15-2 team and a 17-0 team in the same division or whatever. That would still result in that second team getting the wild card. Most of you may know that already, but just to be clear. But the Chiefs would have had a chance to fall all the way down to the 4 seed if they would have lost this game as low as the 4 seed, because they have lost the tiebreaker to the Titans and Bengals and Bills head-to-head, and they would have lost a tiebreaker to the Patriots if necessary because of conference record. Although that the Patriots were 8-3. They would have lost. It still would have been the Patriots on that tiebreaker there as well. So a big win to lock them in for the 2 seed, specifically for these reasons. We talked about this some on Almost Entirely Sports this week and everything. So apologies if this is redundant to some of you, but I want to make everyone aware of where things stand now. The Chiefs as the 2 seed, if the Titans beat the Texans, the Chiefs as the 2 seed host the lowest seeded team at Arrowhead next weekend. Could be Saturday, could be Sunday, could actually be Monday as well. I'm lumping that into weekend. And they would host the lowest seed and then also host whoever they would play in the divisional round. There's no world in which the Chiefs would have to go to Tennessee in the divisional round because of the 1 and 2 seeds. Highest seeds, they'll play the lower seeds, but you're not going to get 1 and 2. But the next step of that is, wow, I just did the Melvin Ingram, Nick Bolton thing. I was telling Beards, hey, I think Melvin Ingram's on TV. I saw the 4. I just looked up and I saw a 4 covered by a microphone, and I saw dreads. We've been doing that since Melvin Ingram got to town. They showed Melvin Ingram earlier. They showed him talking to Melvin Gordon, and I was like, all right, they're getting Melvin Ingram on TV. That's going to be great. Still excited to hear from Nick Bolton. We'll still get that in a minute. But good grief. If their second number wasn't 4, I think I would be safe. We have gotten tricked on those 2 dudes so many times this year. Melvin, did you see Melvin Ingram talking to Melvin?
Who made that tackle for the big sack in the fumble recovery? Who was that? I still don't know.
It's hard to say for sure. The powers of 24 and 54 and the voluptuous dreads, that it's all a blur. They move too fast. Did you see that Melvin Gordon was talking to Melvin Ingram after the game? That was the shot I saw before it flipped over to Bolton here. And so I was excited to hear from him. I'm also excited to hear from Nick Bolton, though. We'll get to him in a second. Gosh dang it. Where was I on the seating? I felt like this was such a good start to the show. I felt like we were really doing good work so far.
Listen, we're the Chiefs in this game so far. We start out pretty good. Now we're struggling a little bit.
The last 10 minutes are going to be perfect.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big hit from somebody who's going to have a 4 and great hair.
I wore 44 when I played basketball in high school.
I don't think I would ever make that particular mistake, confusing you to Nick Bolton or Melvin Ingram, but I appreciate the confidence. Anyway, so if the Chiefs are the 2 seed and the Titans lose, we're also going to hear from Bolton and Nicole Hardman from the podium today, which is Nicole Hardman, again, first career 100-yard game. We'll hear from Bolton twice, but it'll be interesting to hear. He's looking pretty comfortable with the mic in his hand on ESPN right now, so we'll get him there and also at the podium. In addition to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes later, of course. But if the Titans were to lose in their divisional round game, then obviously the Chiefs, with 2 more wins, would host the AFC Championship game once again at Arrowhead. Now, you could very easily say, okay, Josh, I get it. I don't think that this team that just squeaked by the Broncos is going to end up hosting much of anything deep into the playoffs. And I would understand where you're coming from there. This game was a mess. I think that, there were some plays earlier in the game. I was like, oh man, this is a tough game for Nick Bolton. And God bless him for getting that scoop and score. That was a great play and totally changed the tenor of his game. The pass rush had not been getting home. I go, man, Chris Jones did not get a sack, which would have been worth $1.25 million to him in incentives this year. He needed that sack today. He didn't get it. The pass rush had not done much at all. Drew Lock was carving them up on the ground. The linebackers were killing them in the flats. The safeties were not playing very well. You even got a couple of good plays against the Chiefs' corners. It was just defensively, things were going poorly. But man, if that's not the impact of one massive play, I don't know what is. That is a perfect example of if you can keep your head above water, stay alive, and have a chance, just a chance to make a play like that one at the end that Ingram and Bolton combined for, it totally changes the tenor of the entire day for the defense of the entire team. And then you get the long Nicole Hardman play late to ice it. You get the offense hitting a groove. You get some good work from Travis Kelce. We all get to feel like we've ended on a little bit of a higher note here. It is also not the most pristine effort and probably not what you'd like to see going into the playoffs. If this game would have been before the Bengals game, you'd be like, all right, well, the Bengals game, they get to really show what's up. They get to really take a stab at what they're going to be in this playoff run. This game had some preseason vibes with postseason implications for the Chiefs, obviously, exclusively. I'm actually going to be genuinely curious to hear how the callers that we'll get to in just a second. I'd like to get to Bolton, and then we'll take the calls. I'm guessing we'll be just a minute away on him.
Waiting on Rudy.
I wasn't going to throw it. Rudy's on it. I believe Rudy is on it. I'm not waiting on Rudy. I'm just excited to hear from Nick Bolton or whoever that was. Definitely Nick Bolton. Rudy, I'm sorry Beards threw you under the bus for that. That was uncalled for. I'll give him a stern talking to during the break. We'll hear from Nick Bolton, and then we'll start working down the line of calls. Because, again, I really do think that this is a game where there's a number of takeaways you could take positively or negatively that could really put a certain color of lenses on for how you're going to look at the playoffs and how you're looking at this game. So we'll get to the calls, we'll get to the press conferences, but first I want to hear from Nick Bolton, who had a tremendous scoop and score to really turn this game on its head. Fumble forced by Melvin Ingram, but Nick Bolton was the one that actually crossed the goal line and the one that spoke to ESPN/ABC/Monday Night Football/Saturday Afternoon Football. You can hear it right here.
It looked like things were going the Broncos' way until the rookie, Nick Bolton, the scoop and score. Can you take us through the play, what you saw, what had happened, what it felt like?
Yeah, so Coach Spaz called a great blitz, so I came off the edge. Mel 21, our DN, man, shot through the gap. I had a huge hit in the backfield, forced a fumble, and I'm just lucky to be there, be in the right position at the right time. Pick the ball up and take it to the end zone for our team. And that's kind of the message of our team all year, just grit, down to the end, executing in the red zone, and just making plays when they happen.
How real is momentum?
Oh, yeah, momentum was huge, man. It was back and forth all up to that point, and just getting that big play for our team and scoring for our offense, and then going back out there, making them take the long road was huge, and getting a win tonight.
Two things. Did you think you were going to fall down when you picked it up? How close did you get to falling down, and did you run out of gas at the end? How did that feel?
Yeah, first I almost did fall. I changed my cleats, got 7 studs in. A little shaky when I was running down the sideline, but when I got to the 10-yard line, the altitude started catching up with me a little bit, and at that point, just trying to get in the end zone, man.
So before the game, we said that the Chiefs are better than they've ever been because of what you guys went through the first half of the year and the toughness that you had, the resilience, and actually figure out ways to overcome some of the things that teams were throwing at you. How do you feel the same way? I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way. Our defense built on, like I said, grit. We kind of got a lot better than we did the previous year in red zone. Kind of been our biggest things, and making teams take the long, hard road. It's eliminating explosive plays, and so we kind of been doing that as the season progressed, and looking forward to what we got ahead of us.
Nick, how do you think a tough test like this actually helps you heading into the playoffs?
Really slow, though. I don't understand. You almost pulled a hamstring. I'm just trying to figure it out, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm slow, too, 'cause I got caught, too. It's okay.
Everybody
Nicole
ain't
Hardman
4
is one of the fastest guys on the team, so him calling you slow is okay.
Yes, man, for sure. Will you ask the question one more time?
Yeah, how a tough game like this maybe actually is an advantage going into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, going to the, like I said, they got 2 great backs in the backfield they got there, and they're able to play action and got playmakers on the outside. So playing in a test like this, going to the playoffs, stopping the run, I know on our side we got ahead, we're stopping the run and playing the pass down the road. So this test right here was huge for us. I was looking forward to building on it. Looking forward for playoffs, baby.
Look, Tyrann Mathieu has said that he believes this is the best version of the Chiefs defense, and you are a big part of that. Congratulations on the win. What a great rookie season, and what a way to wrap it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
You heard the voice in the background, and that was Nicole Hardman coming and telling Nick Bolton how slow he was, which is just rude. Just a rude thing for Nicole Hardman to do. Not many people have Nicole Hardman's speed. And Nick Bolton doesn't have Nicole Hardman's speed. That's okay. Nick Bolton's a linebacker, and a really good young one. Nicole Hardman has track speed. It's different. Really unkind. We'll hear from both of those guys more later on, both Nicole Hardman and Nick Bolton, as well as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and we'll get to all that in a little bit. So and also Matt Derrick coming up later on tonight as well. But right now we'll take some calls while we wait for the press conference to start rolling in. And Gary leads us off. Gary, tell me how to feel.
Mostly negative, but I will say the biggest difference in this game today was the time of possession, because had the Broncos probably had about maybe 5-7 minutes per possession, it probably would have been a different game, because Spagnuolo's defense was, other than that one play on the fumble return, they were getting gashed. I mean, they weren't stopping anybody. And, they need to call Zane Anderson the momentum killer. 2 weeks in a row, we've come off a touchdown drive to open the game. They get a 3-and-out. What does Zane Anderson do? You got to thank Tobe, though. Why would he even call a pump like that early in the game? I know you're trying to send a message early, but you know what you've got. And, you can look at this defense, look at this defense 3 of the last 4 games. They haven't exactly been lights out. They have played teams that have their offenses intact, quarterbacks that are there, and they haven't been anything special. Today you had linebackers that obviously couldn't get out in the flat to cover, which is at a premium here, and I guess our linebackers just don't feel they need to get out there. You've got a defensive coordinator who just sits there through the game with his hands on his knees, looking out at the field with a dumb look on his face because he has no idea what's going on. But if you want to look at if this team plays the Chargers next week, they're going to have their hands full, and it's not going to be because of the offense. It's going to be because of Andy's buddy over there, Steve. And if Andy isn't smart enough, if they do lose in the playoffs because of this defense, you got to cut ties with Spags, because what's the highest this defense has finished in the 3 years? They haven't finished in the top half of the league at all. No players have gotten better under him. The secondary against, like I said, the last 4 games, the secondary hasn't exactly been lights out either. And I think that's the area that they need to target the Austin as far as an implosion like they did with the offensive line. But, yeah, to me, the key to this playoff run is going to be Steve Spagnuolo hopefully staying home and not being a part of this, because he has no idea how to coordinate anything. He's clueless as the day is long. When you've got the personnel they do, you've got a Pro Bowler at each level, and you can't get anything done. Forget about it. And Chris Jones missed his incentive today. He didn't get his 10 sacks. Was he even on the field today? But, yeah, if you want to look at somebody, the key is going to be Spagnuolo. Will somebody be giving him a game ball within the next 2 weeks? I'll hang up and listen. Great show, guys.
Appreciate it, Gary. I think my strategy usually is to go through some of the things I agree with and then leave it, kind of up in the air things I don't agree with. Time of possession isn't. Gary knows he can't mention time of possession and expect me to just agree with it. The Chiefs lost time of possession one time of possession last week against the Bengals, which I thought was funny. You don't want your defense to constantly be laboring out there. I do think there's something to that. But also, they have the defense out there. Nick Bolton scores that touchdown and ends up on an oxygen tank, and then the defense goes right back out there again, holds him to a field goal. I think that if you're going to talk too much about a defense being gassed, it's going to also have to show up on things like good defensive efforts. Anyway, I'm sure someone else will mention Zane Anderson and the punt block there. I do want to talk about that some today. The cornerback group should be invested in more. I don't think that you can only bargain bin shop at that spot, but I also don't think it's fair to say no one on this defense has gotten better under Spags. I think that what you've seen, and maybe I'm projecting some, what you've seen from Travarius Ward and Rashad Fenton and L'Jarius Sneed and maybe to some extent Willie Gay Jr., Nick Bolton has gotten better as the season has gone on. I understand that there is that Spagnuolo becomes, and really this is always the case for positional coaches, for coordinators, the coaches become the easy guys to point to and say that guy's not doing their job because their unit's not doing their job. This team does have deficiencies, and Spags has had 2 bad weeks in a row, I would say, in terms of at least what he's done in big moments. I will be curious to see if mistakes are repeated. I was really frustrated when the Chiefs punted on 4th and 6 today because that was a repeated mistake from last week. Midfield, can't get, not in field goal range, but within that no man's land. That's frustrating to me. That's a repeated mistake. The Spags didn't blitz on one of those key 3rd downs late in the game that they ended up getting some pressure on and getting the Broncos off the field. I will be interested to see how the remainder of this playoff run pans out. The defense also was legitimately good for a stretch this year. Your counterpoint, I think, would be, though, who did they beat? And I think that is a very fair counterpoint. And I also would agree 100% that they would have their hands full if it is the Chargers in Arrowhead next week. I don't even know who I'd pick in that game right now, but I do think they would have their hands full. I think that is imminently fair. Next up here, we'll go to George. George, you tell me how to feel.
Ragged.
That makes sense.
It's like your jeans that you got too tired of wearing, but you really don't want to give them up. You turn them into cutoff shorts.
Yep.
It's that type of thing. You've got players, and I'm gonna go way back. I think this has to do with conditioning during the lack of an extra games of preseason.
And an extra game of regular season. You can make it double-edged swords if you'd like. Yeah.
I think it's conditioning.
Yeah.
These players have not been used to this particular regimen this year. And they got their groove on. They only got it set, but then it caught up to them. That's how I'm looking at it. The 4th and 1, I think that was actually the turning point in the game. It led to the Chiefs holding on to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It led to the score that eventually gave them the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a kill going out for that little teeny dink pass, and then he gets off the field. And I could not imagine that the Broncos were not prepared for that, and they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an obvious play that they've used over and over again. And I'm glad that they weren't. But the other thing, and this is just a football question. So it's toward the half with 37 seconds left.
Yeah.
And you're going to kick the ball. And you're going to kick the ball to the Chiefs with 3 times. Is there a rule that says that you can't honor a delay of game? That you have to take it?
And you mean in terms of moving it backward on the delay of game?
Backward, losing the seconds, giving Mahomes maybe 17 seconds instead of 37 seconds.
I think that may have been, there was the thing with Vrabel and Belichick a year or 2 ago, I think, that is sort of firing off some synapses for me but I'm not 100% sure. It seems like one of those things where it would make sense for the opposing team to be able to decide what to do with their choice there. But I don't know because it feels like there'd be a loophole open. But I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
It just seemed like, to me, pardon the phrase, logical way to kill the clock. Yes, you're going to give them at least one run, and yes, we do have people like Hartman and Pringle who've proven that one run's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
But still, Mahomes and 37 seconds with 3 timeouts, they did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I was kind of scared about that.
Yeah, and I only wish they would have ended up being able to punish the Broncos for their choices there, or that the Broncos would have had any more logic to their pattern. But ultimately, the end of that first half was messy, I think, universally.
As I say, ragged, sir.
Ragged, yes. A ragged day, no question.
They won. You go home, you lick your wounds, and you give an offering of I don't know what, some Jack Shack barbecue to the football gods.
Yes.
To get them to have the Houston Texans win the game tomorrow.
Yes, everything's bigger in Texas, including the upsets, I hope. Is that game in Texas? Hard to say. Thank you, George.
Yes.
We'll go next here to Mario. Mario, how are you feeling after 28-24 to round out the 18-week regular season?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my brother, be honest with you. It wasn't pretty, and it had my pressure up. But at the same time, I got to tell you, I'm a little under the weather. But, hey, so it wasn't good for me. But I just want to say this. Back in the day, we would have been on the outside looking in a game like that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with Tyreek and Niang and these guys. So that, and then Kelsey's hobbled. So it's going to be difficult moving forward because, you know, I don't want to rag on Spags because he has got a Super Bowl here, and we've been to 2 with him. But sometimes that defense leaves you wanting. I'm just grateful they made a play at the end. Sometimes I just don't understand what we're doing. But on the other hand, on the other side of some things, I want to talk to Bronco fans. Y'all up there talking all greasy. But how does it feel to get another L hung on you, Bronco fan? I'm going to tell you something, my brother. Talking to Bronco fan and Raider fan, because let's be honest here. You got a lot of Chiefs haters across this. Love it when the Chiefs fall. Hey, the Chiefs won, 8 in a row, 7, 8 in a row. And as soon as they dropped that game last week, they all was running their mouths. But they was quiet as church mice walking on cotton when we was on the street. And we was 3 and 4. We went from sugar to sugar honey iced tea before you knew it. As soon as we got back up on our feet and pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps, they still want to talk greasy. Raider fan wants to go back and bring up 3 Super Bowls back when Moby Dick was a minnow. Nobody cares about that, okay? Y'all want to go back and talk about Peyton Manning, all this? Well, I'm talking about a once upon a time called right now. That's what I'm talking about, baby. And so take that L and sleep on it tonight because I love beating division opponents, especially the Donkeys and the most hated Raiders, the Hater Nation, because you guys are delusional. And I'm going to tell you something else. Rex Ryan, you sitting up there with your little fat butt. You and that jerk, you were the most arrogant guy, and I hate to say this, other than that Candy A, Bruce Arians, who I can't stand. And Arians, I'm going to love it when you get an L hung on you this year because you was talking all greasy last year, but you ain't going back this time, buddy, because you ain't sneaking up on nobody, and the Super Bowl ain't in Tampa. Now stick that in your pipe and smoke it, punk. And I'm going to tell you something else, Ryan. You ain't never won nothing, so why you up there running your mouth talking about somebody's been out coached and all that? When was the last time you grabbed the brass ring, buddy? I don't ever recall you grabbing it as a head coach. So nobody cares about what you got to say, loser. All right? Get your fat butt up off the TV because you act like you're pro against the Chiefs anyway. I'm sick of all you Chiefs haters out there. Y'all loved it when we was down and out, when we could never win, when it took us 50 years to win. And you're all sick. Let's just be honest, folks. But we don't have a retread quarterback, and Patrick can only get better. And all I got to say, I don't know what the future holds. I just hope that we not one and done with the injuries and the way Spags is coaching. But, Andy, we need you, bro. We need you to reach down in that toolbox or to your tool bag and pull out something, some kind of way, and get us the win next week. Because I sure don't want to see no one and done again. We graduated from that. Let's get a W and go on to the second round. Jeez.
Tell him, Mario.
Woo!
You don't sound too under the weather than me, man. Get healthy, stay good. We'll talk to you again in the playoffs. Good work from Mario. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Let's keep the energy at the exact same spot. Butch, how about that for an opener this week, huh?
Look, gentlemen, how about those Chiefs?
How about it, Butch?
They won. I love wins against the Broncos. Look, that's the only redeeming quality about this game. I'm not going to front. Man, I'll try to give us a quick blend between the game and the regular season. 12-5, 4,500-plus yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, the second highest EPA in the league. That's what Patrick Mahomes did in the off year, quote-unquote off year. Wow. That's why when Mario said, Rex Ryan, you need to go sit your fat butt down, that's why right there. Because that guy is still going into the playoffs with some heat on his right hand. there were a number of guys who didn't want to step off that plane in Denver to play a football game today. And everybody in Denver wanted to play for their paycheck. Good for them. But, yeah, like you mentioned, there's that's 2 weeks in a row. You put out some questionable tape. And it is going to take some investments in a talent in your secondary to fix it. You will have to invest in corner. You will have to invest in safety, in my opinion, because the rest of the league, they're good. You got freaks, and you're both in your division and in your conference. But, hey, man, look, I've seen teams limp into the playoffs and rip them off win after win. I'm still not giving up hope on the number 1 seed. Forget it. I'm a Texans fan right now. I'm about to go out right now, go to Target, cop some Texans gear if I can find it. And we watch, we see what's going to happen, and you wait, you're in sort of like coaching purgatory, right, in that game, right? Because you want to play your guys enough to win, but you don't want to play them enough to where they're hurt. And so the game was sloppy. I'll give them a little bit of a pass for it because they won. That's all that matters. And that Denver team really wanted to play. You take what you can from this one, get yourselves healthy. You don't have to prepare much for the Raiders or the Chargers. If they end up being the 7th seed, you have to play the 7th seed. Mm-hmm. You already have that game plan figured out. Walkthroughs are going to be easy, but get yourselves right. Charvarius Ward, Dan Sorensen. I need it. Mm-hmm. I need it because it's going to be bombs away, guys. This is going to be a fun playoff. It is going to be bombs away. Be prepared for big point scoring.
Butch, I appreciate it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Hit him with it, Butch. What are we savoring? Hit him with it, Butch. Tell it to him. Butch, you there? You know what? I'm going to tell you. Savor the flavor. I cut Butch off on accident. You think by now, it's week 18. Game 17. That one's on me, Butch. We're going to get right for playoff time. It is the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Good deal for you tomorrow because our team's score is your % off. They scored 28 points, so you get 28% off all day tomorrow. CBD American Shaman, life is better with the feather. We'll either get you some more press conferences or get you press conferences live from Denver or take a few more calls here. Everybody hang tight. We're in a holding pattern until we find out what's going on the Zoom. I'll also tell you, as Butch mentioned, both the Raiders and Chargers, they're Sunday Night Football tomorrow night right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. And also, you'll get Eagles and Cowboys. It'll be Dak Prescott versus Gardner Minshew. Jalen Hurts getting some rest before their playoff run begins. But that should be a fun game. That's coming up later tonight here on 810. And then football all day tomorrow, culminating in the big day and the big game of the week, being Chargers and Raiders. We'll take a few more calls here on 810 before we end up in Denver. Next up, we'll go to Sean. Sean, tell me how you're feeling after the Chiefs beat the Broncos.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, listen, a win is a win. I mean, we can't complain about a win, but my question is how confident do we feel with this win moving forward towards the playoffs? Okay, Kansas City may be on the road, depending on the Texans and Titans game tomorrow. If they are on the road and the way this offense has been playing for the past few weeks, defensively, we've seen some struggles. Do they have the adversity to come back on the road versus good team? I mean, we know Denver's not a good team, but Kansas City struggled today. I mean, we can't lie about that. They struggled today. It was a struggle. If it wasn't for that turnover where Melvin Ingram hit Melvin Gordon, who knows how this game would have went.
Yeah.
So, you know, what I'm saying is we're going into the playoffs now. We're going to be playing better teams. If we have to go on the road, how is this team going to look on the road?
I think it's a great question, Sean. I appreciate you calling, appreciate the question, appreciate you listening. Because here's the best I can do. You also mentioned, can they come back from some adversity. And one thing that's interesting is that more often than not this year, they have been excellent right out of the gate. That was true today as well. Their best offensive drive was their first one. In fact, if you give me the time to stall and go find the tweet, I'll give you the exact number. I saw Sam McDowell of the Kansas City Star and a weekly guest on the Central Bank pregame show here on 810. He tweeted out the numbers of what the Chiefs had done on opening drives this year, and it's startling. But the reason that is such an important part of where the Chiefs stand, 67 points on opening drives this year, the most in the NFL. 68, actually, after the point after. That was all per McDowell. Most in the NFL, 68 points on opening drives this year. They have gotten good starts offensively more often than not, and at a pace better than anybody else in football. But I am genuinely interested who is going to have to be the person that steps up, who is going to end up being the inflection point if they need something when it's not coming easy, if it doesn't start well. Where do the Chiefs go? What does this offense look like? What does this defense look like? One thing I do think we know is that there is a chance. I don't think it's much better than your average across the league. I don't think it's much worse than your average across the league. But this team can create some turnovers defensively. Would have been great to have one early in the game. I would have bet that Chris Jones was going to get a sack. I would have bet that Drew Lock was going to throw a pick. Neither of those things happened. But that is sort of, it's a good question from Sean, and it's also an everlasting one. And here's the one other thing on that I'd mention. Everyone should ask that question throughout the entire NFL right now. If we are down on the road against a good team, what will we do? And I don't know that anyone is in a significantly better spot than the Chiefs would be to answer that question affirmatively. Because the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. We know that Hill had the heel issue. Also, per the Chiefs, apparently Travis Kelce is fine. So we'll get more on that from Andy Reid's opening statement in a little while. But early reports are that Kelce is fine. Hill has the heel issue. That'll be something to monitor very closely over the course of this week, and would be really helpful if the Texans went ahead and handled their business. But maybe if you're the Packers, you could say, yeah, Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams can erase a lead as quickly as anybody. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are all right there. It's not a spot you want to be in. It is a hugely disadvantageous position to land. But I do think that this team is just about as qualified as maybe anybody other than the Packers. Maybe the Bucs, but obviously their receiving room has thinned out over the last few weeks for a variety of reasons. I'm not 100% convinced that anyone's in a significantly better spot in that regard than the Chiefs. It's not a spot you want to be in. You'd like to go up early because of your first 15. You'd like to get an early turnover. Honestly, I think that's part of the logic I told you I'd mention later of the Chiefs going for a punt block whenever Zane Anderson ended up roughing the kicker and cost the Chiefs a possession there. I think the reason that you're aggressive in a spot like that is, hey, let's try to get this thing not on ice, but chilling early on, maybe in a way where Chad Henne is finishing the game instead of finishing the game by the skin of your teeth, if you will. I think that sort of aggressiveness helps the chances that you won't have to go down early, but also increases the chances that you might get bit by your own aggressiveness. Back to the phones here. Talented 11 on the line. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey, what's going on tonight? Love the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you. What's up with you?
Man, I really enjoyed the game. The one thing I was going to say is that you just made a good point, and that's what I was going to say about them, their first drive. And I know that, like the caller said, some people will look at the offense and say, well, they weren't consistent, but I think that sometimes that's how it is. If you look at the game last week, they had 28 points in the first half. And I think that, of course, Cincinnati and Denver are two different teams, but looking at how, the Broncos have a pretty good defensive team. So the things that they were still able to do, I'm still impressed.
Yeah.
I just think that when it comes to the playoffs, I still have the confidence that whatever a defense throws at them, they're going to be able to overcome it because they have proven that to us time and time again.
Yeah.
I think I have two questions. The first question is, when you look at the defensive coordinator, when the defensive coordinator goes into a game, I'm sure they devise a strategy. But during the game, is it up to the players or the defensive coordinator to devise a strategic adjustment to what the offense is giving them?
Why don't you give me both of those questions? I wrote that one down. Why don't you hit me with the second one also, and just in case we have to dump out for pressers. But I'm going to come back to these.
Okay, then the second question is, how can our defense or secondary be effective against an explosive offense or wide receiver in the playoffs?
Good questions, man. I appreciate them. I'll do my best. They don't pay me enough to give you a good answer to at least the second one, but I do appreciate them. Thanks for listening and for again, really good questions. Because here's the thing on that second one. The first drive almost had the punishment of Drew Lock to Jerry Jeudy. Then they ended up pulling it off later. Obviously, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were the recipients of that last week. I would say, flatly, Herbert to Keenan Allen, or if Carson Wentz to Michael Pittman, that's all scary for the playoffs. I'll answer the second one later because Nick Bolton is at the podium.
Hey, Nick, can you take us through that fumble recovery, just what you saw and what you were thinking as you were headed to the end zone?
Yeah, so I just come out the called a great blitz. Our D lineman, Melvin Ingram, went ahead and got vertical penetration. Got a TFL, caused a fumble, and so from then on, I just scoop and score. And I got some teammates gave me some great blocks heading into the end zone, and just trying to get to the end zone from there.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Two questions real quick, Nick. Just what has it been like to play with Melvin Ingram and to just see his impact on the team this year? And then secondly, how have you tried to handle a 17-game season, and what's it been like for you and the rest of the rookies to try to get better as the season's gone along?
Oh, yeah, Mel, since he came in here, has been a great vet in the room. Coming in every single day, trying to get better, trying to improve himself and help our defense become better. And so having a guy like that come in mid-season and bring out what he brings to the football team is special. So he keeps going out there making plays, communicating, getting us in the best position as possible as well. So that's a credit off to him for coming in mid-season, be able to do that. And just in terms of 17-game seasons and stuff like that, it's an uphill battle, just taking it week by week, day by day. That's kind of how you got to do it. Kind of talk to fellow rookies, we're kind of doing the same thing and just trying to come in every single day and put the best on the table and let the rest take care of itself.
We'll go next to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Nick. Andy was saying that he was worried you might stumble as you were trying to get some momentum running down there. Can you just, did you have any worry like that? And it looked like you had to pull away from Drew Lock. Did you talk to Drew after the game?
I actually didn't get a chance to speak to Drew. I'm going to hit him up probably after the game, just talk to him and stuff like that. But probably getting close to the 50-yard line. I had 7 studs in for the field, and I ended up slipping a little bit. At that point, I was just trying to get to the end zone. So I was happy to get to the end zone, get a touchdown for our team and help us win. And
we'll go last to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Nick, you're leading the team in tackles, over 100 tackles on the season now. Could you, before the season, have dreamed that your rookie campaign was going to be going like this, that you'd have such an impact season for a team that's going to the playoffs in this spot?
Coming in, I just wanted to come in and be the best version of myself every single week. And so that's kind of what my mindset was coming in OTAs and training camp and then training on to the season. So I'm just trying to do that. I'm going to continue to try to do that for our football team. I feel like it makes us better if I come in every single day and give my best efforts. So I'm going to keep doing that. Let the rest take care of it itself. I'm not chasing stats. I was just chasing wins. And so that's kind of the mindset it is. Just want to know every week and just trying to win the championship from here on out.
Nick, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, guys, we got Nicole stepping up now.
All right, there's Nick Bolton. Should be hearing from Nicole Hardman in mere moments here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The postgame show is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Here's Nicole Hardman after his first career 100-yard game.
Can I see myself?
We'll come back to you, Darren. Let's go first to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Nicole. I just wondered if you could kind of rehash the are you good?
I'm good.
I'm wondering if you could kind of rehash the pregame stuff. I mean, at what point do you feel like, hey, I'm going to play more today, my role's going to be expanded, and then what changes mentally with? Obviously, you prepare for those snaps anyways, right? But what prepares you to take on a bigger role at the last minute like that?
Well, first, let's talk about this pregame because nobody told me nothing until like kickoff. I'm like, yeah, I said, what? I'm like, oh man. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I just like locked in completely. But it was kind of, we practice hard, so it's ready. I'm ready for those kind of situations whenever they present themselves. And I didn't know what your second question was. I was kind of locked in on the first question.
Well, I also just wanted to know what sort of prepared you. I mean, you said that you locked in mentally, but is there kind of a switch that flips when you learn, hey, my workload's going to be bigger today?
Oh yeah, definitely gotta flip that switch. But even when your workload isn't that high, you still want to be locked in mentally, and whenever you get the chance to catch the ball or opportunity presents itself, you want to be ready. So but in those kind of situations, it's kind of like a little different. So you definitely got to have a extra boost, knowing that you're gonna be targeted a little bit more. The team's gonna need you a little bit more. So it's definitely a little bit more pressure on you going into the game. But I was ready for the challenge and came out with a good win today.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Nicole, what was it about today's game, other than just Tyreek didn't play a whole lot, that allowed you to have a big day? Was there something about today's game that allowed for that?
Well, Tyreek didn't play, so when the superstar like that is on the field, is on the field as much, somebody got to step up and take those snaps and take those targets and make the best out of it. And that's what I did when I got in the game and played as much as I did. I just wanted to take advantage of the opportunity and make the most of it.
Let's go back to Darren so we can get it to work. Darren, go ahead.
Hey, McCall, quickly, we talked earlier in the year about your growth. How do you think that you feel now going into the postseason with your play going into your fourth season after this year?
I think I've matured as a player over the last 3 years. I think I didn't grew as a player just overall, far as the intermediate short game, whether it be screens, shallows across the field. My deep game always been there. So I think I just becoming a better player overall, catching the ball better, seeing the field better, seeing coverages better, being on the same page as the quarterback. So just all over these years, I just been trying to get better in every category and just all around been a better player. So going into the fourth season, of course we still got to finish this season, but just want to keep continuing on those basic things and those basic fundamentals as a receiver.
Last two, we'll go Harold and then Herbie. Go ahead, Harold.
Nicole, your first game with over 100 yards receiving, just what does that mean to you and all the hard work you've put in to finally get that notch on your belt?
Like, damn, finally, man, I finally got 100, damn, like, excuse my language, but yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen 100 yards. I think it's back to South Carolina and Georgia last time I seen 100 yards. So it's a great achievement. It's something to definitely be proud about, especially that you got the win. So hopefully I can get some more of those. But just know I'm happy about that 100 right there.
We'll go last to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Nicole, congratulations on getting 100 yards. You, as a follow-up to Sam's earlier question about you finding out, just before kickoff that you were going to take on an expanded role, how much was Tyreek Hill in your ear and offering you encouragement throughout the game?
No, Tim was just telling me, like, man, go out there and do what you do. They can't guard you, they can't hold you. So do what you do, do what you know, what you're capable of doing. So just hearing him say that, that's all I needed to hear. Just go out there and ball. So
Nicole, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
There's Nicole Hardman, who, first of all, is genuinely one of my favorite people, especially for a post-game press conference, not just the in-week one. Get a little bit of an amp, Nicole Hardman. It's fun. I got to talk to him before the season some at one of those big events we were doing, and really enjoyed talking to him. I think that one part of the Nicole Hardman story is going to be what happens in the space between being the guy that's supposed to ultimately be the number 2 receiver for this team and the guy that ends up stepping up when Hill is out, being there for some of those either gadget-y plays where you had the direct snap and everything. Seeing how he evolves in this offense, I think will be interesting. I know it's been 3 years now. I am not going to argue that he's going to end up developing into a traditional receiver. I think he probably won't. That does not mean that he cannot be a tremendously useful player in this offense. He was today, especially with Hill being out, but really in the other stuff that he's able to do as well. His rookie contract has one more year. I do think he'll absolutely be on this team next year. I think the team will be better for it. Again, expectations are a damning thing. Where you expect something from someone and you get something different, your response can be very negative. I don't think that's earned for Nicole Hardman. I think that his role in this team is a really interesting one, just one that was maybe a little bit misdiagnosed by a lot of us. And if not misdiagnosed, it hasn't hit what we were hoping for, expecting, etc. But I think Nicole Hardman, again, clearly has a place on this team. Certainly through these playoffs, certainly through next year. And then next year will be super interesting as well to see if maybe he does take another step, or even if he's just the guy he was this year, there's value to a player like that. We'll get to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes later, but those press conferences by Nick Bolton and Nicole Hardman are part of our locker room report.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
Again, our locker room report there with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes coming later in the show, along with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. One more call here. We'll go back to the phones to hear from Doug. Doug, tell me how you're feeling after this kind of strange, kind of up and down game today.
I'm a little worn out.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of quick things for you that I'd like to hear your thoughts on. I haven't been able to listen to the whole show, so if they've been covered, just let me know.
Sure.
I thought Hartman and Pringle, I think they've done a great job. That's one point. I think I want to ask you a little bit about the field conditions, and I'll start with this. They looked really iffy. Iffy and slippery, not like ice, but it wasn't the field conditions were really concerning to me from the opening kickoff, and that leads me to really my I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, but leads me to my last point. After the Chiefs scored a touchdown and Bucker fell on his rear, kicking off, I am so proud of Bucker for kicking that 50-plus yard field goal in the fourth quarter, because those 3 points were huge at the time. And it takes a lot of. I just think he really earned my respect tonight.
Yeah,
knowing that field was as difficult as it was, and he made the kick. So, just your thoughts on that. Happy New Year and happy engagement.
Thank you very much, Doug. I really appreciate that. And good question. Stuff we haven't actually gotten to here today. So I'm glad that you brought those up on the Butker thing. Especially, this is something that just comes and goes with the kicking position, I guess. But that is such a precise job of foot, kick, wind, placement, hash. So much of that is so scientifically precise that I think it was also McDowell who tweeted that Butker appeared to alter his approach on that kick, which I thought was super interesting to kind of account for not losing his plant foot there. So yeah, a fabulous kick in really difficult situation, a really difficult spot, not because of wind or rain or, again, the swirling winds of Arrowhead, but because you wonder if he could fully trust his plant foot. Like that is a wild spot to be in, and a good call there from Doug. Appreciate that. The field conditions were a mess. Somebody tweeted that they genuinely thought that they looked worse than the conditions when the Chiefs went and played in Mexico. And then there's also there are lots of jokes about if there was a Shakira concert in Denver last night, which is pretty funny. All of that is totally earned. That was an absolute mess. And ultimately, though, didn't end up being too big of a factor. You didn't see one of those terrible foot slips, knee bends in the wrong direction kind of injuries that you get terrified of whenever you see a team playing on top of a field of basically chili, which is what it looked like out there at times. So, 100% valid on that front. Also agree completely on the Hardman and Pringle front. I guess we've talked about them some today, but 100 yards for the first time for Nicole Hardman. Byron Pringle, who there were some early mistakes. Mahomes was frustrated with him on 2 occasions early on. In recent weeks, he's had a drop somewhere in there, and Mahomes goes back to him, and Pringle, time and time again, has proven that he is a reliable option out there. I hope he's a part of this receiver room. If it's as a third or fourth guy, what I would like to see this offense end up having is Hill, somebody else, and then Pringle and Hardman as a part of their plans for next year, because I think those guys do have important roles. But again, I'll tell you what, this might be a bit redundant, but I just talked about the perception and expectations for Nicole Hardman. He entered the league as a second-round pick. The Chiefs obviously had high expectations for him. He was drafted while Tyreek Hill's future was very much up in the air. And he's been kind of carrying that second-round burden on him his entire career. Also, Nicole Hardman is 23 years old. 23. Byron Pringle is 28, but he's an undrafted free agent out of K-State, and you never expected anything out of him. And as he has become a legitimate part of this offense, he's been a fantastic piece in this offense. But you see how the expectations of those two guys have so significantly impacted how we talk about them, what we expect from them. And that's not their fault. Nicole Hardman was a super talented receiver coming out of the SEC. And Byron Pringle was a K-State nose of the grindstone receiver who got in as an undrafted free agent, grinded his way up into the offense, and now you get this from him. Two very different paths to two very good games from both of those guys. There's also the call earlier that had a couple of questions. I want to get back to a couple of those and also continue to look at this game from a whole bunch of angles. But we have to take a quick time out here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. More on the Chiefs' victory to round out the regular season. 18 weeks, 17 games, the 1 seed or the 2 seed in their future as they beat the Broncos 28-24. More Chiefs-Broncos breakdown whenever we come back.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. It's coming.
Rodgers under center, takes the snap, looks right, fires right, caught by Devontae Adams.
A yard deep in the middle. Evans got the ball. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
The home of the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Kelsey is in for the Kansas City touchdown.
Sports Radio 810 WHB, America's largest all-sports radio station.
Jayhawk fans, this is Bill Self. If a sports injury puts you on the bench, turn to the Sports Medicine and Performance Center at the University of Kansas Health System. Whether it's your back, knee, hip, shoulder, or even a concussion, you can see the same experts that care for the Jayhawks. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine.
The University of Kansas Health System is an official healthcare provider of Kansas Athletics together with LMH Health. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine.
Hey Kansas City, it's Dustin Colquitt. Did you know that on average, Americans spend about 15 hours shopping for a car? That's almost 5 football games. If you have better things to do with your time and want to avoid stress, check out the concierge service at onerequest.com. The One Request concierge team will find your car, negotiate the deal, review the paperwork, and arrange delivery. You got a trade-in? They'll handle that too. Experience car shopping made easy at onerequest.com. Don't forget, that's onerequest.com.
golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the biggest Callaway trade-in event of the year. Starting this Thursday through Sunday, bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 75% trade-in bonus towards new Apex irons and Epic woods. Both the Apex and Epic families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Go to worldwidegolfshops.com or call the store nearest you to schedule your free custom fitting today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a Pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Plus, players have 3 nights a week to play Powerball. Now Monday nights. Every ticket you play creates opportunities for Missouri students. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. At BOK Financial, we believe that no financial challenge is too big and no opportunity too small. We're guided by our commitment to make a difference in the communities we serve. BOK Financial. We are community focused.
Listen up, sporting fans. Central Bank of the Midwest invites you to score a better banking experience with our new sporting checking account. Now you can show off your team spirit at the match or on the go with the official sporting debit card. Plus, you'll gain access to Central Bank's award-winning mobile app with more than 30,000 reviews and a 4.9-star rating. So, score big today by opening your sporting checking account at any of our convenient Central Bank locations or by visiting sportingchecking.com. Member FDIC.
The Whole Person connects people with disabilities to the resources they need to live independently and enjoy the many opportunities this great city provides. We're focused on creating a fully accessible community where opportunities and choices are not limited by disability. The Whole Person delivers programs and services that enhance the confidence of people with disabilities by providing the skills needed to live, learn, and work in the Kansas City Metro. The Whole Person serves both Missouri and Kansas. Learn more by visiting thewholeperson.org.
Sunday, playoff berths are on the line with an NFL tripleheader to wrap up the regular season on Sports Radio 810 WHB. First up, it's Big Ben's final outing as they face the Ravens at noon. Then at 3:25, Seattle will take on the Cardinals with playoff positioning on the line for Arizona. And at 7 o'clock, the Chargers and Raiders meet with the winner going on and the loser going home in the AFC West Showdown on Sunday Night Football to wrap up the regular season. It's all right here on your home for the National Football League and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Window Nation. It's freezing outside. Are you feeling the cold air coming into your home? Heater running constantly? If so, you need new windows. Window Nation wants to help keep you warm inside with their 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest offer for a limited time. Get new windows and keep all of your cold, hard cash in your nice, warm pocket for 2 years. And this is even cooler. Window Nation is giving you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. There's no limit. Let Window Nation get you out of the deep freeze. Get your home winterized with energy-efficient Window Nation windows, and you'll be warmly rewarded with lower energy bills. Pay nothing until 2024. Plus, you'll get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy. Now is the very best time for the very best deal of this brand new year. Call Window Nation today at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
Second down and 2 from the 9. Gordon is the single running back. One receiver, Patrick, out wide to the left. Lock under center, has the snap, hand up. Gordon hit in the backfield, lost the ball. It's picked up by Kansas City. Racing back to the 25, to the 30. Down the far side, numbers 50, 40. Down to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10-5. Touchdown, Kansas City. Nick Bolton with the fumble recovery and goes 85 yards for a Kansas City touchdown.
An absolutely fabulous tide-turning play as Melvin Ingram does the Jadeveon Clowney and Nick Bolton with a really impressive scoop and score, staying on his feet all the way across the goal line. There's no doubt that that is our sweet play of the game, brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Andy's Cookie Casanova Jackhammer is back just for the new year. Hurry in for hot fudge, warm cookies, and frozen custard. Andy's Frozen Custard. We know where you got that grin. tell you what, if I needed to run 87 yards, was it, for some hot fudge, warm cookies, and frozen custard, I would do that right now. I might even get there faster than Nick Bolton did. Maybe not. Probably not. It would be slower. But I would still get there in a hurry to Andy's frozen custard. More Andy for you here as Andy Reid's press conference is ready for you right here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. Obviously, a lot of injury questions in this game. You'll hear them all. I won't even... Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Darrell Williams, Byron Pringle all left this game at various points. You will not necessarily hear from Reid on Travis Kelce in this opening statement. He did not mention him, but a lot of things to dissect here in Andy Reid's opening statement and his injury update. But first,
Andy Reid is presented by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon Olathe Kia. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. And by Andy's Frozen Custard. Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy. Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a Pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today.
Here we go from the top. Andy Reid's opening statements and injury updates following the Chiefs' 28-24 victory in the final week of the regular season over the Denver Broncos.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Tyreek Hill had a sore heel, and so we held him out for most of the game, although he jumped in and played a little bit. And then Darrell Williams had a great toe that was bothering him there, his big toe. And other than that, I think we're okay. My hat goes off to Vic and the Broncos for the game that they played. I thought they played with great emotion and effort, and I was glad that we came out on the right end in our case for us. But Vic does a heck of a job, and I respected the heck out of him as far as his football team. They're tough. Ingram, I thought really his 2 big hits I thought were big, and the push he was getting off the edge I thought was important for us, and none bigger than the last one, where we were able to pick it up and score. So that was a great job by both those guys. And then offensively, McKinnon stepping in for Darrell, Nicole stepping in for 10. I just thought that both those two had big nights. I mean, McColl's was over 100 yards, 8 receptions, somewhere in that area. Pat did a nice job on third down. I love the way our defense buckled down and just they pared down and did a nice job. I think the leadership on the defense, starting with Spags and with the players and the assistant coaches, I just thought it was tremendous. EB and Mike Kafka, they both had calls in there that were tremendous and much appreciated. And all the assistant coaches on the offensive side, and then special teams. Likewise, we had a couple of hiccups there, but powered through that too. So all in all, a good win, an important win for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, and then we will see what we have. I guess by tomorrow night, we'll have an idea of who we're playing and the times and all that. But we sure look forward to bringing a playoff game back into Arrowhead and with our fans.
There's Andy Reid looking forward to bringing a playoff game back to Arrowhead and a chance, of course, still to end up with the 1 seed. But they'll be the 1 or the 2, which also means that if they win their first game, they will be hosting 2 playoff games at minimum at Arrowhead Stadium. So that is the benefit of this victory today, even though it did not come without a cost, without some stress, without some injury bang-ups. But hopefully it ends up not being a big deal for Darrell Williams' toe, for Tyreek Hill. I did it. I've done it. For Tyreek Hill's heel. Tyreek's heel. And then no mention there of Pringle and Kelsey. So he said, other than that, we're good. So good news there. Hopefully, I mean, Tyreek Hill's health. The Tyreek heel, as I'll call it, the remainder of this week will be a big storyline to keep an eye on. But obviously, also a very nice game, first career 100-yard game for Nicole Hardman here today. And Andy Reid was asked about what led to Hardman's big game, besides just not having Tyreek Hill out there most of the time.
Well, we were able to get the ball in his hands quick, and you saw him just explode. I mean, he was playing fast and very fast. So he was explosive. We've seen that in other games too, but he really had opportunities to get it quickly and to hit it.
Hey, Andy, at what point did you know that Tyreek wasn't going to be in his full capacity? And then secondly, a lot of the plays that McCole had were behind the line of scrimmage catches. Were those plays that you inputted this week intended to be for Tyreek Hill, and then McCole had to step into that role, or were those plays already intended for McCole?
A couple were and some weren't. Probably the majority weren't, but we're not for 10. So, and I knew about him before the game. He tweaked it during the warm-ups, his heel. He's had that before, so he just landed on it funny, and he told me that he was hurting. So
just when you guys won the first matchup against the Broncos, I believe McCole was only targeted one time for one reception. I just wonder, between then and now, just what you've seen from McCole, maybe behind the scenes, that may have helped him for this opportunity tonight.
McCole, the one thing McCole's done is all season he's tried to get better, and so you got to see it tonight. I mean, we've been seeing the progress as we've gone on, and we were able to showcase what they did defensively today.
I mean, it's a great performance from Hardman in a role that he got sort of shoved into there. Again, hopefully the Tyreek heel is not a long-term issue, but great to see Hardman take advantage of that opportunity today, because it can be touch and go with him and his spot in this offense. I talked about that more earlier, though, so I won't belabor that point. We'll keep it moving here as, again, the first-round bye, still an option. If the Titans simply lose to the Texans tomorrow, the Chiefs get the 1 seed and the first-round bye. Keeping an eye on that, rooting for the Texans here. Andy Reid was asked how important it would be to get that first-round bye.
Well, I mean, we're going to end up getting an extra day with this game, so if we don't get that, we'll be ready. If we don't get the bye, we'll be ready. And if we do, we'll try to take advantage of that time there too. So, but either way, we're gonna utilize whatever time we have to make sure we get ourselves right for the next game.
That extra day is nice. It was a little bit of a double-edged sword because it's one less day to get ready here, one more day to get ready for the next playoff matchup. If they do play, extra day, I guess they could play next Saturday. They could play on Sunday. They could play on Monday night. So still a lot to be determined there. That first-round bye would obviously be enormous, not only because it could potentially let you skip a game against like the Chargers, which would be a game that you would rather not have to play, but it's also a week off, another week that somebody can't get hurt in freaking warm-ups. It's 2 weeks in a row now. Orlando Brown Jr. last week and Tyreek Hill this week. Just not having to play football would be nice, but that hinges on the Texans. The field was a topic with some of our callers earlier on, rightfully so. Andy Reid was asked about the condition of the field and how they dealt with it today.
Some of the guys at the middle of the field, they resawed it, and that was a little bit slippery. Although the edges, once the temperature started kicking down a little bit, there was a little bit of moisture there too. So it ended up being a bit slippery. But I thought the guys, they knew that before the game. So the ones that felt like they needed to switch cleats did that.
I mean, it wasn't good out there, and it was especially almost disastrous for Harrison Butker. Whenever he went down, I was just worried about his knees, honestly. But ultimately didn't lead to anything directly, it doesn't seem. And here you can hear what Andy Reid had to say about Travis Kelce as late in the game. Right, I mean, that game clincher, he had a hip tweak of some sort was the initial report. You'll hear the question from Herbie Teope of the Kansas City Star and Andy Reid's quick answer on the status of Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce looked like he got banged up on that last play there when he caught that first down. He's okay?
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah.
There you have it. The best 8 seconds you'll hear all day today on this show. I'm not self-absorbed enough to think that it's something that I said. It is Andy Reid telling you that Travis Kelce is okay. Tyreek Hill, TBD, Travis Kelce, good to go. Also, Jerick McKinnon's name has come up a couple of times, rightfully so. You'll hear his highlight later on tonight as well because it was a fabulous one. Jerick McKinnon stepped in. Andy Reid talked about his ability to step in that moment and have the performance that he did. Really his best one as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, Pete. So, he was a quarterback. I mean, a legitimate quarterback in college. And so he understands that whole concept of team. He gets that leadership. And that's kind of the way he handles himself. I mean, he never complains about anything. He goes 100 miles an hour and does it to the best of his ability. And as a coach, I mean, that's all you can ask for. But it was just a matter of him staying healthy. He had a couple setbacks there. So getting healthy and being healthy, you got to see what he did there.
He got healthy. It was good. He paid off the investment of his during this season, and without Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's still injured, hasn't practiced and suffering the shoulder collarbone sort of injury against the Steelers. Then you had Darrell Williams exit at the end of the half with a toe. You saw McKinnon and Derrick Gore be the guys out of that backfield and perform admirably in that spot. Also, more here from Nicole Hardman. Andy Reid talking about what he's seen from Nicole behind the scenes over the course of this season.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll start with Nick because that was a game changer.
I think that may be, there's no time on that one, Beards. Why don't you double check for me there? Because he talked about that earlier on. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of overlap there, because there's also then him talking about Nick Bolton and the fumble recovery.
The only one we have left is the one that is about Nick Bolton.
That makes sense. I think that one just was. We covered that one already. The throw there. Did Rudy just tap his chest?
Rudy just came out of the studio and did the tap chest. My bad.
Delete that off the.
That's all right. Listen, man, we got through 17 weeks. This 18th one is unfair to all of us. This should have been a preseason mistake.
Defense out here today.
We said we started good. We had a big mistake. I wasn't a big mistake. We started off good. We stumbled. We got it back a little bit again. Then Drew Lock just had a great throw to Jerry Jeudy. We needed some help over the top. We didn't get it. And then we're gonna have a really strong finish with Patrick Mahomes and Matt Derrick later. Here's the actual, though, last clip from Andy Reid. Here about Nick Bolton, his performance this season, and the fumble recovery for the touchdown there to really turn the tides of this game.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll start with Nick because that was a game changer. I was hoping that he wouldn't stumble, right? So those guys don't get a chance to run that far, that fast very often. And he ran it like a stallion. I mean, he took off and looked like a running back there. So I was happy for him. He's had a pretty good rookie year, I'd say, and having 17 games that you play in, that's not the easiest thing to do as a rookie, but he's taking advantage of it. I think it's great to have Hitch there to kind of learn from, and he's taking advantage of that too. So.
Hey, Coach, kind of following up on Nate's question there about Nick. He's another one of the guys that obviously doesn't look like he's hit much of a rookie wall at all. What is it, do you feel like, that's allowed him to be so successful? I mean, leading the team in tackles, even though he hasn't been a starter all season. Yeah, well, he did the same thing at Missouri where he led the conference in tackles. He's a good tackler. He's a humble kid, so he knows what he doesn't know, and he's willing to work on it. And there's something to be said about that. So he's continued to do that throughout the season, and I would imagine he'll do it throughout his career. And that's something that you need to keep as you go forward. It's a great tool to have, a mental tool to have, but it's even better when you had the success he has to continue to do that and keep working your game.
I think that's honestly a really high compliment from Andy Reid there. Someone who knows what they don't know and then is able to work on filling that void. That is such an important part of, life in general, I guess, but also certainly for an NFL player and certainly for a guy at middle linebacker, who is still learning what this defense looks like. It really has been an impressive rookie campaign for Nick Bolton, and the highlight of it obviously. The exclamation point on it came today, unless he can maybe put another exclamation point on it in the playoffs, which would be just fine with me. There is Andy Reid here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City's press conference, brought to you by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia and Andy's Frozen Custard. The whole show brought to you by Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, you players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. We'll take a break and come back with Patrick Mahomes. His press conference next on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power Powerball. Now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays.
Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a Pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today.
At Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia, they're so confident in their new vehicles, they're offering a 90-day money-back guarantee with no mileage restriction. From the 2022 Kia Telluride to the 2022 Sportage or Soul, get what you absolutely want or return it if it's not right for you. Plus, all new Kias are backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Drive with confidence in a new Kia from Robert Brogdon. Shop OlatheKia.com or stop by. Just a short drive from I-35. Customer must register vehicle. Warranty is limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sportszone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
Do you feel valued and appreciated? Tired of where you currently are? Burned out or just burned up by the dealership game and corporate bureaucracy? We believe that you and your family deserve more than just a paycheck. We believe that you should be able to enjoy your job, enjoy your coworkers, and feel like you're making a difference. In short, we feel that you should feel appreciated. Kansas City Transportation Group is looking for a solid, honest, and reliable mechanic and auto tech. We offer flexible schedule, paid time off, and benefits for your family. If you're looking to upgrade your career and feel like what you're doing makes a difference, then apply at kctg.com.
Ryan Radke here from Westwood One with a preview of Sunday Night Football. Week 18 wraps up the regular season in Sin City with a primetime matchup of AFC West playoff contenders, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers. Both are 9-7. The winner will get the final spot in the playoffs. Join Ross Tucker and me for all the action from Las Vegas on Sunday Night Football.
Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Mark your calendars now, January 20th through the 23rd at the KCI Expo Center. It's the RV Show presented by Unlimited RV. Millions of dollars of RVs all under one roof, and they all have lifetime warranties. It's January 20th to the 23rd, the RV Show at the KCI Expo Center. Forest River, Keystone, Coachman, Winnebago, and more. January 20th through the 23rd. Only $5 to get in, and the kids are free. It's the RV Show presented by Unlimited RV. RVShowKC.com. That's RVShowKC.com.
Second down and 10. Ball at the Denver 32-yard line. Trips right, single man left. Mahomes in the gun, takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Gore. Back to pass, pressure coming. Mahomes moving to his left, looking down the field, flips his hips, throws back across his body. Pringle makes the catch at the 22, spins to his right, trying to stiff arm a defender. Finally knocked down at the 21. It'll be a first down, a gain of 11. Mahomes was outside the numbers on the left, flipped his hips through all the way outside the right hash, and a strike to Pringle. Justin Simmons on the stop.
It was only an 11-yard gain, but it was something sort of like magic, as Patrick Mahomes had a couple of those moments today, but that is our Mahomes Magic Moment, brought to you by BOK Financial. The Mahomes Magic Moment is brought to you by BOK Financial. Whatever you want your company to be, there's BOK Financial. Be ready with BOK Financial, member FDIC. Also there, an example of Byron Pringle having a couple of rougher moments early on and then absolutely paying off alongside Patrick Mahomes with his trust still continuing with the former K-Stater, and a couple of nice moments in a game that was not all nice, but we can take it. Chiefs are going to be the 1 seed or the 2 seed. Just depends on if the Titans lose to the Texans tomorrow. We'll have a full slate of NFL action and everything you could ever ask for. Here's the lineup tomorrow here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Steelers versus Ravens at noon. Seahawks versus Cardinals in the afternoon. And then LA versus Las Vegas in the AFC West matchup for a playoff spot, essentially, on Sunday Night Football. Also, Colts, Jags, and Jets, Bills over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. That's all tomorrow across everything here at Union Broadcasting on both sides of the window. But we'll go now to Patrick Mahomes. He spoke to the media right after the game. But first,
Patrick Mahomes' press conference is brought to you by your Kansas City Acura dealers. They are partnering with Patrick Mahomes in support of his 15 in the Mahomes Foundation. Test drive to make a difference and enter to win a Mahomes jersey. By Xfinity Internet. Stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed, reliability, and coverage you need. Can your internet do that? And by Westlake Ace Hardware, your home convenience store. Ready with the best brands and the right advice you need to get your quick fixes done even quicker. Stop into your nearest neighborhood Westlake Ace Hardware today.
Starting from the top here with Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, talking about Nicole Hardman. He was asked what led to Nicole's big performance today, beside Tyreek Hill just not being out there very much.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of had with Tyreek kind of, not being able to play as much as we expected, Nicole stepped in that position and made plays happen. And he's made plays happen, all season long. He might not have the big numbers as far as stats on the whole entire season, but in big moments, he makes a lot of big plays. And he has all the talent in the world, and we'll need that going forward into the playoffs.
Hey, Patrick, another question on McCole. Obviously, you guys didn't know till late in the preparation that he was going to get that many snaps today. It looked like a lot of that was going to go to Tyreek Hill. What's the adjustment for you first as a quarterback when the receiver changes? And then secondly, I'm sure you can appreciate the adjustment for McCole as well, stepping in that late.
Yeah, first off, as far as receiver changes, no one is Tyreek. He's a special player that has never been seen in this league. But McCole is pretty close. He has a lot of the speed. He has a lot of the shiftiness and stuff like that. And, he comes to work every single day. Obviously, I'm sure he's wanted to get more stats and all that different type of stuff, but he's prepared for this moment. And I think you saw that today as he stepped right in that moment. He knew all the plays that Tyreek had kind of were called for him. And he made plays happen when we called his number. So, he's a guy that, he's battled through adversity in his career, but at the end of the day, he's made big plays for us every single year, every single game.
He has made plays. Again, that's the thing I was saying earlier, where just like if you just look at the differences in the way that we all talk about Byron Pringle versus Nicole Hardman. Byron Pringle is this incredible, wonderful story of a guy that was an undrafted free agent and grew into a role in this offense. Nicole Hardman was a second-year player that came into a role in this offense, and the opinions across Chiefs Kingdom, if you will, on those two guys almost couldn't be more different. That's not really about their performances, though, as much as it's about how they've been utilized. This was before the game today, and so this lead would have only been extended. Nicole Hardman had 590 yards on the season, just purely receiving coming into this game. Byron Pringle had 512. Total yards from scrimmage, it was Hill, Kelsey, Darrell Williams, who crossed 1,000 today before he was injured, which is cool. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then it's Nicole Hardman and Byron Pringle, back-to-back. These guys have had some relatively similar production stat lines over the course of this year, but it's all about the expectations, and I think Hardman has been sort of burdened by those a little bit, where Pringle has been elevated by his lack of expectations coming into the league. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying their seasons have been very similar, very productive, and just talked about differently based off of how the Chiefs acquired them. But back looking to the future, though, here, the 1 seed still in play, waiting on Texans versus Titans at noon tomorrow. Patrick Mahomes was asked about the importance of getting the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think to me, it's more of a, when you get a first round bye, it's more of a win. Because you're going past another round in the playoffs, which are never easy, but it is what it is. We're ready to go wherever, against whoever. We just go in with the mindset of we're going to have to play each and every week to try to have a chance to get back to that Super Bowl.
The good news is they'll know by 3:30 tomorrow if they are going into another full week of preparation for another game or if they're going to have a chance to kick their feet up. But obviously it's why the Bengals loss was so frustrating. They had the 1 seed back in their own control. They didn't have to rely on the freaking Texans. Davis Mills gang, rise up.
Mills Mafia.
Mills Mafia. I had something different. I'm not sure. Welcome to the new Millsinium.
I like alliteration. Mills Mafia.
Mills Mafia sounds great. I like Mills Mafia a lot. Rooting for the Cully gang? I don't know.
Cooligans.
Ooh, the Team Culligan for David Culley? I'm not sure. We'll go back to this game. I just am weirdly very interested in this AFC South matchup tomorrow that I did not really expect to be all that intrigued by until this week came around, but now we're very intrigued by it. But the biggest play of this game today, obviously, Melvin Ingram with the hit on Melvin Gordon in the backfield. Nick Bolton scoops and scores. Patrick Mahomes was asked about the emotional swing on the sidelines over the course of that play.
That was a big play. I mean, that was a big play by a big-time player, and Nick, and then Melvin for making a heck of a play to force that thing loose. And so I said it earlier, but that's why we brought Melvin over here. I mean, to make plays like that, and he made a big play for us. Nick picked it up. He almost went down, but he got away to the end zone.
Do you, by any chance, recall anything you might have said to Melvin or Nick after that play?
I was pretty excited. I don't know exactly what I said, but I was pretty hyped for Melvin, and then Nick was getting bombarded, so I just kind of said something to him after the game. But I mean, that's a heck of a play by two dudes that it kind of looks similar out there on the field, honestly, as I'm thinking about it. So, but it was a heck of a play by two dudes that really changed the landscape of the game.
Feels good to be vindicated by Patrick Mahomes there, as somebody who saw Nick Bolton on the TV briefly earlier and said we would hear from Melvin Ingram. You know, Po Buddy's nervous.
That wasn't a joke. So I heard about that. Beards mentioned that to me, but I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, so what happened?
You were making the joke because I legitimately, earlier in the year, I haven't had this problem in a while, made the mistake multiple times.
Yeah, no, what happened during the show earlier was that they showed Melvin Ingram and Melvin Gordon talking after the game. Saw that on TV, looked back down, did some more show, glanced back up again, and there was a large man with big dreads, a microphone covering the first number on his jersey, and you could see the 4. And I just didn't think about it too hard.
Mistake, man.
I didn't think about it too hard. I just looked up and, we'll hear from Melvin Ingram. It's Nick Bolton. So it actually happened to me in the first, I think it was about the 15-minute mark of today's show. It's happened many times on the field whenever they're facing the direction where you only see the second number on their jerseys. You just see the 4. And, I mean, I'm not proud of it, but it's nice to know that Patrick Mahomes has also, you know what? Those guys look kind of similar out there, flying around and making plays. I'm still not sure who it was that actually hit Melvin Gordon and who it was that scored the touchdown. To this moment, I'm still confused. Honest mistake, and one that maybe Patrick Mahomes is also now considered. So that makes me feel a little bit better. On the topic of Titans-Texans, by the way, where's Patrick Mahomes going to watch that game? He was asked about that earlier as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch all the games. I mean, I'm a fan of football just in general, but obviously I'll have that game on the TV and be checking that one out. But I'll have other games as well because, I mean, we have a couple of opponents that we possibly could be playing, so I'll try to look at a little bit of that to see what they're doing. I mean, because they're big games for them as well.
All right. Yep. I mean, I did have the thought for a second of so he's not just going to do red zone, right? Because that is football crack, but it's not like analysis football. And, you know what? I bet Patrick Mahomes has a pretty good TV setup. It just took me a minute to consider that.
Do you think he gets volume on all those TVs?
Probably. I think he probably can do whatever he wants with his television setup, would be my guess. So we'll see what we'll see how that goes tomorrow. But Mahomes will be paying attention, I have to imagine. Hear from Patrick Mahomes. He was asked about balancing their success this season while also still feeling like they have room to improve.
Yeah, I just feel like we haven't had that complete game yet. Offense, defense, special teams. And we have the players. You see week in and week out, you see the defense have a great game. You see the offense have a great game. You see special teams have a great game. And I think when we all come together and have that game or the run of games, that we're a team that we can win as much as we want to win. And so we're going into the playoffs into a tough division, AFC. It's going to be tough games every week that we play, and we're going to have to find a way to play our best football at the right time of the season.
I mean, he's right. They haven't played a perfect game. The Raiders games are the closest things to it, I think. And they have shot themselves in the foot plenty. There have been a number of self-inflicted wounds this season. Our friend Seth Kaiser has written about them, I think, 3 different times now, and at one point tonight appeared on Twitter to be working on his 4th, potentially. That has been a huge part of this season. I don't know, genuinely, I just don't know for sure if that is something that they can stop doing or if that is simply a part of this team's makeup. I'm not sure. But it will either bite them or wonderfully disappear whenever the playoffs get here. Still TBD. Here, Patrick Mahomes was asked about the 13 road wins against divisional opponents since he took over at the helm here in Kansas City. That's a hell of a stat. 13 divisional wins on the road since Patrick Mahomes became the starter. I'm guessing that also includes the road win at Denver in Week 17 of his rookie season as well. And he was asked about how difficult and how impressive of an accomplishment that is.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until they started tweeting it out all the time. But we focus a lot on division games. I mean, our first goal is always the AFC West, and in order to win it, you get to win games on the road. And there's a lot of hostile environments, especially Mile High. It's a great environment for football, and they're loud. They were loud today, and so we just go in with the mindset of just trying to play a complete game and try to find a way to win the game at the end of the game. And we did that today, and we've done that in my career. And it's always good to see some Chiefs fans out here at all those games.
Something like 14,000 empty seats in this game today. Broncos fans were, I think, purposefully kind of showing their frustration with the team, but it sounded like a pretty good environment, especially whenever the Broncos thought that maybe there was an edge where they could take that win. But ultimately, of course, the Chiefs were victorious. Here, Patrick Mahomes was asked about the rookie class's performance this season, which you've seen from guys like Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, especially really leading off a rookie class. Trey Smith, I should mention for sure. Really a strong rookie campaign for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he brought in a lot of great players. I mean, the guys that have contributed to this team, battled through a long season, straight out of college, straight out of the combine training, all that different type of stuff. And they're going to be a big impact for us in the playoffs. And they've gotten better and better each and every week. They have the right mindset, which is big when you have a young guy like that. They come into work every single day with the thought to get better. And to have that maturity at such a young age, it's special.
It's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if he's focusing on Bolton and Creed there or focusing on Bolton, whatever angle is there. It's just also kind of interesting because this has not been a top to bottom like everyone's hit rookie class for this team. You really didn't get anything from Cornell Powell at all. He's on the practice squad. And Joshua Kando was injured early in the year, and we haven't heard anything from him since all of that went down and since he was placed on IR. But you get an incredible rookie year from Creed Humphrey, a good to great rookie campaign from Nick Bolton, Trey Smith, an incredible value out of the 6th round. It's quite an accomplishment across those 3 guys, especially in this draft class. Here's Patrick Mahomes talking about if he was surprised at all with the effort that the Denver Broncos put out there today, considering that the game didn't have playoff implications for them and the challenges of facing a Vic Fangio defense.
I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, I could have told you at the beginning of the week. I mean, that this team, their culture that they have of playing football is they play hard every single snap, no matter what the situation is. And Coach Fangio does a great job of getting those guys ready to go. And I mean, in my career, I mean, he's been one of the toughest guys I've went up against. I mean, he does a lot of great things. That's why you see all his disciples all around the league. I mean, they did a lot of different shells and mixed coverages, brought a couple blitzes here and there. And I mean, that's what he does. He keeps you on your toes. He doesn't stay in one coverage. He does whatever he thinks is best for his team and whoever's out there.
He seems like a good dude. I'm pretty confident, especially that endorsement from Patrick Mahomes. He's a good defensive coordinator. He has seemed outmatched as a head coach. Maybe that would be a little bit better if he had a quarterback that he trusted. I don't know. But I do not think that Vic Fangio is going to be a head coach in the NFL for much longer. And maybe it's a sort of a Dan Quinn thing where the moment he gets fired, he becomes one of the best, if not the best, defensive coordinators on the market. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Would not argue with that one bit. But ultimately, seems like some changes are probably coming to the Denver Broncos. Last clip here from Patrick Mahomes asked if this game shows how thin the margin for error is in the modern NFL.
Yeah, I mean, in this league, especially in our division, I mean, there's a lot of great football teams. I mean, you look at teams like the Chargers, the Raiders, who are fighting to get in the playoffs, the Colts. I mean, they're teams that can beat anybody. And so for us, we understand that. There's a lot of great football teams in this division. And we have to be ready to go if we want to get to where we want to get to. And we understand that. But we've been in these games before, and we know how to win them. And so at the end of the game, if it's close, I think we're going to find a way.
There's Patrick Mahomes here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team score is your % off. They scored 28 points, so you get 28% off all day tomorrow. CBD American Shaman, life is better with the feather. And this show is better when Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest joins us. He'll do that next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Brought to you by Casey's own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
It's time to ring in the new year, and why not find out what it means to drive the rings? If you've always wanted an Audi, call Audi of Shawnee Mission and take one home today. Or check out their inventory online at AudiShawneeMission.com. Stop in today to see why Audi Shawnee Mission is rated one of the top dealers in the Central region by Audi of America. Audi of Shawnee Mission's brand new state-of-the-art facility is located directly off I-35 in Merriam, Kansas at the corner of I-35 and 67th Street. Visit Audi-ShawneeMission.com. It's the season of Audi at Audi Shawnee Mission.
This is Chad for Shaman's Leawood Total Wellness. Yes, Shaman's Leawood Total Wellness, the place that helped me lose 29 pounds, made my clothes loose, and the place that's given me more energy than I felt since college. Get off the couch, man, and call or stop by for a free consultation. If you qualify, you'll get $100 off your startup fee when you mention 810. Call 913-227-9150 or visit Shaman's Leawood Total Wellness at 11709 Row in Leawood. Remember, life is better with the feather.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, this is Stephen St. John. It's time to call QC Kinetics, non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them keep giving you steroids. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Locations in Gladstone and off 435 and State Line. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside Gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code RACE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code RACE for up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code RACE.
Sponsored by Open Jar Concepts. Attention, this is an important message for anyone that has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers. The Internal Agency for Research on Cancer warned that overexposure to Roundup and other weed killers may increase the risk of developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto, the manufacturer of Roundup, may have known that Roundup and other weed killers were likely linked to organ damage and cancer. This information was hidden from the public as proprietary trade secret since 1981, and Monsanto may have failed to warn of the potential risk of cancer. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call us now at 800-537-2701. Our network of attorneys are ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call now for a free consultation at 800-537-2701. You must protect your legal rights. Call 800-537-2701. Again, 800-537-2701.
Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy, Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a Pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today.
Ninth play of the drive coming up for Kansas City. 3rd and 7 from the 14. 2 receivers to the right, including Kelsey. 2 receivers left. Mahomes walks up toward the line of scrimmage, now falls back into the shotgun. Play clock shows 8. McKinnon off to Mahomes left. Kelsey in short motion from the right. Here's the snap to Mahomes. He's back to pass. Checks it down left side. McKinnon wide open. McKinnon to the 10. Spinning out of a tackle to the 5. Avoids another tackle. Driving to the end zone. Touchdown Chiefs. Derrick McKinnon made the catch and showed off the moves. A 14-yard catch and run by Jet McKinnon. And with 10:43 to go in the 3rd, Kansas City is back in front.
A great play there by Derrick McKinnon, a good play design, and just nice to see McKinnon getting the ball and absolutely just making a meal of the Broncos defense. That is our Andy Reid call of the game, brought to you by Olathe Subaru. At Subaru of Olathe, let your love give back during the Subaru Share the Love event. Find your new Subaru now at SubaruofOlathe.com. Took 18 weeks, 17 games, but you got yourself a Derrick McKinnon moment. We won't make you wait nearly that long to hear from our star of the game, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Read his work at ChiefsDigest.com. It's all brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. You better buzz Bob, now offering electrical services, panels, wiring, generators, updating fixtures. They do it all, offering a whole home electrical inspection for just $99. Call 888-4BOB. Remember the 913. Matt, tell me, after all of that, as the Chiefs now sit waiting on the Houston Texans and Tennessee Titans, as they win a game that was ugly but did ultimately get the job done, tell me how to feel about a game ending 28-24 against the Broncos.
Relieved?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's about the only thing it can be. I mean, the game is over. There doesn't appear to be any lingering injuries. He says, wondering.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, yeah, it's over. I mean, I can't give you any more hype than that, Josh.
It's over and exhale is probably about right. It's interesting though, because I'm curious what you would want to take from this game into the playoffs. We'll spend some time talking about some of the guys that had big games today, but in the macro where you get the hot start, the cold middle, and then a clutch ending, like it feels like we've seen a pattern like that before. We've seen the Chiefs struggle with teams that aren't as talented as they are, and this game was weird. It had this game I've said a couple times I think this week. It had preseason vibes, but postseason implications. Like, it's a very strange spot all the way around. Do you think any of it is prescriptive for what week 1 of the postseason would look like?
I mean, to kind of hit on what would be the only, I think, concerning takeaway from this game, which is that if the Chiefs have had a fatal flaw this year, it has been that they've kind of played to the level of their opponent, and they just haven't been able to consistently put together, I mean, games from beginning to end for most of the season. I mean, there were stretches there, certainly in the winning streak, in which you could say that they put it all together in all 3 phases. But for the most part, I mean, it felt like this was a team that just didn't fire on all cylinders week in and week out. And if that's the case going into the playoffs, that's a concern. But then I also, for a lot of the reasons that you kind of point to, I mean, this is a weird week. I mean, this is a weird vibe. The Broncos are a team that weren't playing for anything. I mean, really, the only thing they were either playing for is pride or jobs next year.
Mm-hmm.
And they did play hard. I mean, give it to the Broncos. I mean, they put an effort out there. I wasn't a team that just phoned it in. So they put up something. But at the same time, I didn't feel like this was the fire you would normally expect from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't think that it's the Chiefs that you're going to get once the playoffs start. I mean, that's the whole other level kicks in there for everybody. I mean, the speed picks up, the intensity, the emotion, everything kicks up. So I don't know that there's really anything that you really can take away from this game and say that it applies for the most part going forward.
Tell me if this analogy works for you. The Chiefs are a hot pocket sometimes. Lava hot at the front and at the end, occasionally ice cold in the middle. Your thoughts?
And occasionally moldy on the inside.
Oh, no. You had a bad Hot Pocket experience?
My uncle had a bad Hot Pocket experience that has scarred him for 30 years. So
I'd take a detail on that here because that is terrifying to me.
But once again, I mean, it fits in with the analogy.
Yeah.
Yes, the Chiefs have occasionally been hot on the outside, cold on the inside, and occasionally just been really, really ugly.
Do you eat Hot Pockets? Do you have a favorite Hot Pocket flavor?
Not since my uncle's experience.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about eating a Hot Pocket right now, and that wasn't my experience either. So that's scary.
I have not had this in a long time. But I will and have eaten Totino's pizza.
Sure.
Which is the lowest grade pizza on the planet.
Right.
I mean, when I was younger, you don't remember this because you're a young pup.
Right.
There were occasionally specials where you could get 10 Totino's pizzas for $10.
Wow.
And I mean, that could feed you for for me for a week. But then I would also get the Totino's pizza rolls.
Yes.
Those are solid.
Incredibly solid. And basically tiny Hot Pockets.
Essentially tiny Hot Pockets with, less nastiness.
Yeah. Yeah. And better branding, I think. By the way, Costco's pepperoni pizzas, really clutch. I made one of those for lunch today. Very strong if you're looking for just a big box of pizzas for presumably $6 or something. Genuinely good in the frozen pizza section. So I'm glad that we covered that. That's the most important part of this show to me. With the pizza talk and pizza roll talk and Hot Pocket talk out of the way, the game, I think, clearly changed when Melvin Ingram hit Melvin Gordon with a fury that only someone who is angry at another person for taking his name could possibly provide. Jadeveon Clowney style in the backfield, and then Nick Bolton scoops and scores on a long run that I was very nervous that he may not ultimately finish off. But just a tremendous play from two guys, both obviously added to this defense this year. Bolton early in the draft, Ingram for a 6th-round draft pick later in the year from the Steelers. It feels like a fun little microcosm of the impact that those guys have had in their time here. But what did you think of obviously that play being tremendous, but then as a microcosm for what they've added to this team, those two?
Yeah, I mean, you can't put enough importance on that play. I mean, it was the game-changing play of the game. I mean, if that doesn't happen, I think the Chiefs probably lose. No guarantee because, I mean, the Broncos, God love Vic Fangio for what he might have decided to do there in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, might have decided to punt from the 9-yard line. I don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
But you absolutely feel like the Chiefs are in deep trouble if they don't get that turnover and score. And then Melvin Ingram, I mean, that was the second play of the day that he just absolutely ate up in the backfield. And we talk about Melvin Ingram making a big impact as a pass rusher, but his run defense, I think, has been just as important. I mean, he's an all-around player. He's not just one-dimensional. I think that's been a big part of the Chiefs getting better against everything. Now, the run defense today had some problems.
Yes, sure.
So that's probably the one negative takeaway I would say for this game because that's been something that popped up last week against the Bengals too. So, yeah, I've got some concerns there. But that was just tremendous. And Nick Bolton, I mean, yeah, I thought he might run out of oxygen on the way.
Yeah.
But he made it. And then, I saw he was still taking hits from the oxygen like 2 drives later. Hey, you do whatever it takes, man.
It's the most relatable thing that an NFL player has done in a while is feeling the hit of a sprint 15 minutes after the fact. That feels right. On the other side, you got the Nicole Hardman game. He hits 100 yards receiving. I was surprised by this for the first time in his career. He talked after the game, obviously, about what his performance, could be tied back to. Obviously, Tyreek Hill didn't play in a lot of this game, but what can you say about the Hardman performance?
It was something that we have not seen for a lot from Nicole Hardman, which was get off to a good start, keep it going, and maintain it through the end. I mean, the Chiefs have on occasion tried to get Nicole Hardman going. I mean, there have been some times when they've come out with, 2, 3, or 4 plays designed for him early to kind of jumpstart him, and he's had some good games when that's happened. But by evidence by the fact that, he's never had a 100-yard game, I mean, speaks to the fact that he's had, long touchdowns. I mean, he's had 72-yard touchdowns, these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he couldn't back his way into 28 more yards, I mean, just speaks to the inconsistencies and microcosm, another great use of that word, of Nicole Hardman's career. That consistency has always been the problem. And then today, I mean, here's the great situation for him. I mean, hey, Tyreek Hill's banged up. Need you to take some of his plays early. You're going to be taking his snaps, and for the first time I can really remember, Nicole Hardman was handed a situation, and he grabbed it and absolutely took advantage of it. Yeah. That's huge. I mean, hey, if this is the beginning of a Nicole Hardman hot streak that you can ride through the postseason, do it. But I assume that this is going to have to do loads for his confidence, and if that's the case, I mean, when have we really seen a hot and confident Nicole Hardman?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's probably been confident a lot, but hot, no. So maybe he's turning the page. We'll see.
This is something that I've also just sort of found interesting, and I've mentioned it already on the show here tonight, and I'll probably talk about it the rest of the week because I just think it's interesting. But Nicole Hardman, both in receiving yards and in yards from scrimmage, has had a statistically more productive, or at least again by yardage, season than Byron Pringle. This is not a shot at Byron Pringle. I'm going a roundabout way here. Nicole Hardman came into the league as a second-round pick and a guy with some serious expectations and undeniable talent. And Byron Pringle came into the league as a guy who might be able to hold on to a roster spot for a couple of years because of special teams play. Now, Pringle has created a fabulous role for himself. He has been really important consistently this year. He has had mistakes where Patrick Mahomes has been visibly frustrated with him twice early in this game. He had the drops of the last couple of weeks. There's been a time where you go, man, you got to have that. And then Mahomes goes back to him, and Pringle proves that trust well earned. I think that both of those guys have really wonderful stories and important parts of this offense. But I think that we talk about them so ravenously differently, probably because of the expectations and the way that they joined the team. Would you co-sign that? And what do you think that says about the seasons that both Hardman and Pringle have had?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel bad for Nicole because I feel like that his, coming into Kansas City, he was dropped into an ugly situation from day one. And the expectations heaped upon him were probably unrealistic. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it doesn't matter how you slice it up for him. It's always going to be, he was drafted to, take over for Tyreek if Tyreek wasn't going to be around. So he should be just as good as Tyreek. Right. Or he should be just as good as DK Metcalf because he was taken ahead of him. Right. Or the Chiefs could have taken a cornerback. So he's got to live up to that. And Byron Pringle doesn't have to live up to anything. I mean, you're right. I mean, they've taken two radically different approaches. But at the same time, I think that, just because of where they have come from and the expectations have been so different for each of them, that the confidence level is different in each of them. I think even the Chiefs, seem to have more confidence. Mahomes seems to have more confidence in Byron Pringle. When you look at the results, that I'm not sure that you can really make a convincing case that one is either more consistent or dependable than the other. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just, based on where they have come from. And maybe there are other intangible factors that are there too. And maybe that's the impact. Mm-hmm. But and I always will come back to this too, which is that I think the frustrating thing for the Chiefs has been that, Byron Pringle is a guy who's certainly talented, but, has certainly probably overachieved his skills.
Yeah.
Whereas Nicole Hardman has enormous physical talents. and the frustration has been that he just hasn't always maximized them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can blame that on Nicole Hardman, but sometimes maybe it's the fault of the organization too. Maybe they just haven't created the right environment for him. I don't know the answer. I mean, I'm not there every day. We're not there on the inside, so we don't know for sure. But sometimes it's not entirely on the player. There can be other factors too.
I think that's all very well said, and I just think it's interesting. It's so rare to get examples of just how expectations and circumstances and just expectations, I guess, end up impacting how we look at and talk about players. Last thing, Matt, I guess, tell me what's coming up on ChiefsDigest.com today, and I guess tonight. It's 8:30. Huh, weird. And also, if there's anything else from this game that you think is interesting or something someone should know as we all put on our Davis Mills jerseys.
I am writing my love ode to Nick Bolton right now.
Good.
Of course, which
Excellent.
needs to be done because we all know how much you hated Nick Bolton on draft night and continue to hate Nick Bolton.
I'm just gonna. What else can I do at this point? Go ahead. You just talk your bleep. You deserve. You've earned it. You've earned it.
I just love joshing you, Josh. You know that. I love hacking on you.
Just joshing.
And then it will probably won't be until tomorrow that I'll have up some kind of season-ending wrap-up numbers. But if I can't find a way to sneak in, Andy Reid's 4th and 6th numbers for you, I'll feel like a failure.
Yeah, I just, at this point, it's like, how many years in a row do you ask for a puppy for Christmas before you realize you should just stop asking, right? Like, that for me today, I think, was like my 15th Christmas and going, you know what, I'm going to stop asking for Andy Reid to go for it on 4th and 6. I should just ask for socks, and I'll be less disappointed.
If I do me this favor, if Andy Reid ever does go for it on 4th and 6, call me to make sure I'm okay because there's a 50-50 chance I'll have a heart attack.
All right, I'll do that. That could be our pact. And the next time that he punts on 4th and 6, you just text me just a little wellness check. We'll look out for each other.
I'm there for you, Josh.
Thank you, Matt. We'll talk to you again probably next week, but maybe in 2 weeks, I guess. We'll have to see depending on the Texans.
Sounds like a plan. Take care, everybody.
Talk to you next week. That's Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Get his stats on Andy Reid on 4th and 6th from midfield and everything else that you can get at the wonderful ChiefsDigest.com. We'll take a break. We'll wrap things up with Vic Fangio next because I want to get you the entire second half of Cowboys and Eagles. Game is at 17-17 right now. Almost 24-17 as the Cowboys are looking to take a lead, but a high-scoring affair with some playoff implications, I guess. The Eagles and Cowboys are both playoff teams, but seeding still TBD, and been a pretty entertaining game so far. So I'll bring you that NFC matchup after our next segment when we'll hear from the Broncos head coach. On the other side of this break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, which is brought to you by CBD American Shaman, free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Joslin, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the Big High B. Joslin's Jewelry. We're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry, for the best that's yet to come.
Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a Pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today.
It's coming.
Rodgers under center, takes the snap, looks right, fires right, caught by Devontae Adams.
A yard deep in the middle. Evans got the ball. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
The home of the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Kelsey is in for the Kansas City touchdown.
Sports Radio 810 WHB. America's largest all-sports radio station.
Listen up, sporting fans. Central Bank of the Midwest invites you to score a better banking experience with our new sporting checking account. Now you can show off your team spirit at the match or on the go with the official sporting debit card. Plus, you'll gain access to Central Bank's award-winning mobile app with more than 30,000 reviews and a 4.9-star rating. So, score big today by opening your sporting checking account at any of our convenient Central Bank locations or by visiting sportingchecking.com. Member FDIC.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sportszone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
Sunday, playoff berths are on the line with an NFL tripleheader to wrap up the regular season on Sports Radio 810 WHB. First up, it's Big Ben's final outing as they face the Ravens at noon. Then at 3:25, Seattle will take on the Cardinals with playoff positioning on the line for Arizona. And at 7 o'clock, the Chargers and Raiders meet with the winner going on and the loser going home in the AFC West Showdown on Sunday Night Football to wrap up the regular season. It's all right here on your home for the National Football League and Super Bowl 56, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC is announcing a worry-free guarantee on new Buick and GMC purchases. That's right. Buy any vehicle, and if you don't love it, they'll take it back, no matter the mileage, and refund you 100% of the purchase price. They've got the area's best selection on new models like the 2022 GMC Yukon, Sierra 1500 Limited, and Buick Encore GX. With this offer, there's never been a better time to buy. Visit robertbrogdon.com or check them out at I-35 in Santa Fe in Olathe. Customer must register vehicle. See dealer for details.
Hey, it's Bob with Culligan Water. Is your water causing skin issues or scale buildup on your fixtures? Does it taste or smell like chemicals? Let me tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Culligan of Kansas City has been solving these issues for over 50 years. Contact me, Bob, at culligankansascity.com/Bob. That's culligankansascity.com/Bob. Let's talk about how to better your water. When you think of better water, think of Bob with Culligan Water.
Third and goal now for the Chiefs. Ball resting just inside that 4-yard line. Two receivers stacked to the left. Kelsey is on the right end of the line. Mahomes back in a pistol set with Hartman as the back. Hill goes in motion from left to right. Here's the snap to Mahomes. He's back to pass. Looks right side. Pumps, looks, throws left. Got a man wide open. That's caught for the Kansas City touchdown. Travis Kelsey leaking out was all by his lonesome. It's a 3-yard touchdown pass for Mahomes, and the Chiefs cap off an impressive opening drive with 6.
That opening drive was huge. That touchdown was fabulous. And that is our play of the game, brought to you by Central Bank of the Midwest. Huge play there. And as we said earlier, kind of a hot pocket, right? Hot start, hot finish, cold in the middle. Chiefs might need to get more thoroughly thawed next week. They could play any number of teams at this point. It could be the Chargers, could be the Raiders, could be others. But they will be no worse than the 2 seed, as they could ultimately be the 1 seed. We all know now, rooting for the Texans tomorrow. And lots of football going on throughout the day. Many of those things will have some implication on seeding and whatnot. You can hear all of them. We'll hear a lot of them here on Sports Radio 810. Steelers versus Ravens, then Seahawks versus Cardinals, then Chargers versus Raiders. That'll take you from noon to, 10:30, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Something near 11 hours of football here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And over on ESPN Kansas City, you get Colts versus Jags kicking off at noon, and then Jets versus Bills at 3:25. Right now, though, you'll get Vic Fangio potentially coaching his last game as a head coach for the Denver Broncos. Our opposing press conferences every week are brought to you by Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax. They'll take it from here. Here is Broncos head coach Vic Fangio addressing the media after a close-fought victory for the Chiefs, but of course a loss for Vic Fangio's Denver Broncos.
What are the emotions just after finishing the season and obviously battling against the Chiefs when you were double-digit underdogs?
Yeah, my main emotion is I'm really proud of our players.
that's a team that may win it all. They're obviously won a lot of games the last 4 or 5 years since Mahomes taken over. Those guys went out there and fought them and competed with them, and we had a chance to win that game, but not winning it is the bottom line, and we didn't get it done. But I'm extremely proud of our players and proud to be associated with them.
Vic, can you explain the decision to kick the field goal there?
Yeah, it's 4th and 9, and your odds are very low through analytics and all that. There was enough time left that gave us a chance to get a stop, and even if we gave up a field goal, we'd have a chance. If we go for it and don't get it and they get that same field goal, then we're down 2 scores with not enough time. So I understand the second guessing there and going for it, but 4th and 9, your chances are a little not great.
Vic, can you explain what you saw on the fumble that they returned for a touchdown? Was that a missed assignment on the right side of the line there?
Yeah, we busted an assignment there. Guy sprung in the backfield, hit Melvin as soon as he got the ball, and the rest was history.
As you said, the effort was good. You were right there, and your focus has been on this game. Have you had a chance to think if this was your last chance as the coach of this team?
The whole focus is on our players and this team.
Coach, with not much over here, with not much at stake today, what does it say about your players playing as hard as they did for you today?
They're a bunch of fighters and competitors, and that's going to be the foundation that they have to build on. And when we get a little bit better, play a little bit better, coach a little bit better, that foundation will carry us through.
Vic, what were your impressions of Drew Lock's performance today? And do you think that at this point in his career he's shown he can be a starting quarterback in this league?
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. I thought he threw some really nice passes. Obviously, his scrambling ability showed up in a big way. I thought he played his best game. And it's part of it's because, when he's played this season, he's come in relief, with not much preparation. His first start after Teddy was, then last week was a COVID week. We didn't get much practice. We, in fact, had to cancel practice. And this was really the first week he had a real chance to practice at normal tempo and get some work in, and I think it showed.
Vic, what did you see from the secondary and how they performed with 3 of the starters out?
Yeah, we were, that's a team you have to play a lot of 5 and 6 DBs against, and those 3 DBs up front for us were all new guys in new positions. And Caden obviously started at safety. So that was, we didn't pressure very much, which against this team nobody really does a lot for obvious reasons. But, we hung in there with them. The first drive was disappointing. They kind of nibbled at us the whole way down. We had our chances to make some plays. Mahomes made us miss. We had a hard time, obviously, all night getting the rush going, and he scrambled for several yards, all night long, the key plays. So, the plan was what it was, and it wasn't good enough in the end, but it gave us a chance.
Vic, to your right here. Did you talk to George Payton this week, and do you know what's going to happen to you?
No, I do not know.
Did you talk to him this week?
Yeah, we talk all the time, George and I.
Vic, last.
What's that?
About the future or just
everything. I'll be good, Legs. Don't worry about me. Okay.
Vic, last couple of years, only 2 division wins in that span. What do you think is separating this team from the rest of the AFC West?
Well, those other 3 teams have top-shelf quarterbacks, which is obvious to everybody. We just need to get a little bit better. A lot of the games, we had a good game against the Chargers here in first time. Last week was the COVID game. We had a tough day, close game with the Raiders second time. Obviously, both games with the Chiefs. I think we're tight. We're not quite there yet, but we're close. And I think the foundation is there for this franchise to close the gap and become more of a factor in this division.
Vic, Melvin Gordon had 110 today, and obviously the fumble, but you mentioned the busted blocking assignment there. How'd you just grade out his season finale? And I know he said he wants to be a Bronco going forward. Do you think he made a good impression there?
Yeah, I love Melvin. Melvin's a tough sucker, runs hard, He's a great teammate, good person. Everything to me about Melvin Gordon is top shelf.
Vic, you've talked a lot about being close and the progress you guys have made this season. When you look back on some of the plays this year, the fumble against the Eagles, the fumble against the Bengals, the fumble today, are those kind of the plays that you're talking about that could make the difference in a season? I'm sure there's more out there, but is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, I mean, we could, pick out a few more plays too, obviously. We just have to coach a little better and play a little better to avoid those plays. And we're all in it together. Okay, coaches and players are in it together. We all have our fingerprints on everything. And, yeah, we've got to avoid the catastrophic plays.
Vic, what was your message today before you went out with the team? What did you tell them before the game?
Well, that's between me and the team.
What pride do you take in establishing the foundation that you've talked about a couple times here in this post-game?
Yeah, I think I take we, the whole organization, take pride in that. Is it what we want? Is it good enough? No. But you can't think the things you're doing good aren't good enough because other things aren't good enough. Okay? Those have got to stay there. And when you get good enough at other things, that's your foundation. If you follow what I'm saying, I'm probably not doing a great job of explaining it. Yeah. Pardon me? What do you think the foundation is? You saw it out there tonight, bunch of fighters and competitors, and I think you saw it all year. And that's what these guys are. I'm proud to be associated with them. Not proud of our record. I know it's not good enough. I get it. But I'm proud to be associated with our players.
There's Vic Fangio, and again, what very well could be his last press conference as the head coach of the Broncos. He seems like a really like a nice guy and a really good defensive coordinator. Just think he's been a little bit overmatched by that job there at the head coaching level. But we'll see. That'll be determined probably over the weekend. And there'll be a lot more determined over the weekend as well. The Chiefs are victorious over the Broncos, 28-24, ending the 18-week, 17-game season as the first team ever to be 12-5. Some other teams could match that tomorrow, but really the Tennessee Titans are the one to worry about, the one team that could match it in the AFC. I guess they're the first AFC team, though, first team in the league to finish a 17-game season, along with the Denver Broncos. And lots of action all day tomorrow. Steelers-Ravens, Seahawks-Cardinals, and then capping it off with Sunday Night Football, Los Angeles Chargers versus Las Vegas Raiders. That's tomorrow here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Go Texans! Bye, Mom!
It's coming.
Rodgers under center takes the snap.